So welcome to another video, and as you can see this is going to be a slightly different one. There's no fishing in this one. This one I'm going to be building a power bank on steroids. I've seen this quite a bit. One of my friends Will uses it at Local Marks Fishing. Quite a lot of people in America use these to do their ice fishing because they're out there for quite a long time with no power or anything, so they need something that's got a decent bit of power so they can run lights and charge their phones and various other things. So this is going to come in handy for a few different things. Obviously when I go carp fishing, overnighters, week in France, I can use this to charge all of my camera batteries and my phones and tablets and everything else that I need to charge. Bearing in mind that is a decent battery. That is a 12 volt 20 amp hour battery, so that is a big battery. Made for, I think, golf carts and mobility scooters, that sort of thing. But that sort of battery is going to keep you going. I've seen online that you can get some of these battery boxes made up with 7 amp hour batteries. Obviously that's going to last so long, but a 20 amp hour is just going to be the same but on steroids. And it's all going to be fitted in one of these, which is a plastic ammunition crate. Which is what a lot of people use to build these. The battery fits inside and all of the components are fitted around the outside. I've got various switches and I've got USB sockets, I've got a voltage meter, I've got lights to fit in there so I can have some little LEDs in the sides as well. I've got one of these banana jacks. They're called banana jacks, what they call them in America anyway. That will fit on the side somewhere, and with that I can actually charge the battery in situ without taking the battery out between sessions. And we've got switches so we can switch all the individual components on and off. I've got all of my electrical bits and pieces for stripping wires, crimping, a hole cutter for making the holes for these things to fit in. So I'm going to do the build now and show you as I go along, bit by bit. I'm not going to show you the whole build because that would be boring, but I'm just going to show you as I do each bit. I'll show you what I've done and why I've done it, and then you can have a look at the finished article at the end. And decide maybe whether it's something that you might want. I know you can buy these ones now that you can plug a couple of USBs in, and they can last you for a few days on the bank without having to charge them up. But this is going to be a very similar thing, okay, on a bigger scale, but this is going to have 4 USBs, and I'm going to have expansion possibilities for even more than that. Lights fitted into it. So if you're vlogging at night, when I go out on the SIB and I'll do a live blog, for example, for 6 or 7 hours, this is going to last. With lights built in that's going to light me up, with everything plugged in, squid light over the side, a light shining the inside of the boat, a light shining me up, the phone plugged in. It's all going to work, and it's all going to work for hours because of the size of the battery. So I'm not going to waffle any longer. I'm just going to make a start on the build and show you how we get on. So this is the next step that we've got to right now, and that is to drill out the 3 holes on the side top of the box. And that's for the 2 USB ports and for the voltage meter. What I did there was I measured across there, found 3 central points, put a pilot hole through, and then using the template, I'm not going to be using this came with the voltage meter, but using that as a template to draw the holes round, and then use my step drill bit, which is fantastic. It's a 28mm, so it gets it down to the 28mm to make the right size hole. Small problem I had with this was that on the inside there's this little plastic lug going across here, same as this side. So with a standy blade I had to cut that out and cut it off flat to the floor, as it were, just so that when the voltage meter goes through I can screw the little nut down on that. Next step is to fit those. So you can see here with this little securing nut why I had to cut that piece of plastic out so that it would fit nice and flush. And it's a case of just working these down so that they're in situ and they won't move. So that's the USBs and the voltmeter all fitted. Now the way that I'm fitting the battery into the box is by putting some really strong heavy duty Velcro underneath, self-adhesive, and that will push down and that won't rattle around, it won't move around, but I will have the ability to take the battery out should I need to. So as you can see there with the battery upside down, I've fitted the Velcro tabs either side. The Velcro is got sticky side up, sticky side down, the Velcro's together as it is there. And what I'm going to do is now there's 4 little feet underneath there, and I can see the 4 little nodules inside. I'm going to put this right in the middle of the box. And the reason I'm doing that is so that when I lift it up, the weight is evenly distributed and it's not sort of leaning one way and trying to pull my hand off. Now that's in there. With the box done up, that's nice and even, the weight distribution, and the battery's not going to wobble around in there, so I think the Velcro is a really good idea to keep it fixed in position. So now we've got the ports fitted, the battery's secured, the next job was going to be the lights. I was going to have 4 LED lights on the front, but unfortunately the LEDs that I've bought from eBay are really bad quality and they're not very bright, so I'm going to forego those, and I've ordered some from Amazon and they're going to come tomorrow, so tomorrow I'll fit the lights, but in the meantime I can fit the switches. Now I'm going to have multiple switches. I'm going to have one master switch, I'm going to put them along this lip here. I'm going to have one master switch which is going to switch on the main power and the voltmeter. The next switch is going to switch on the USB ports, and then the next switch along from that is going to turn on the lights. So I can fit the switches now. I can also fit the banana jacks. I think I'm going to fit the banana jacks this end, maybe on the side. I haven't quite decided yet, but that's the plan. 3 switches along here. So when it comes to wiring, I've got myself some 16 gauge wire for the main components and the switches, and some 12 gauge wire with a fuse which will have a 10 amp fuse in it, and that is what I'm going to be using for the wiring, and that seems to be the safest way of doing it. The silicon wire, as you can see, is really flexible. This one isn't silicon wire, it doesn't matter because that's just a short piece of wire that's going to go from the battery to the master switch, but the rest of the wire, where I'm going to be using a bit of spaghetti junction inside, going from component to component, this silicon wire is going to make life a lot easier, and I'm going to be able to manipulate it, and it's going to bend where I want it to bend. So guys, I've got on and I've built as much of it as I can today. So around here you can see I've got my banana clips. They are switched, so when that little switch is on, these are now active and I can use that to charge the battery. I've got my switches all working now, so the middle one is my master switch. I've done everything green, so everything's carby green. As soon as the master switch comes on, we get our voltage meter on. This switch here turns on our USB ports, which again are carby green. And this switch here is going to be for our lights when they arrive tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to fit the lights, wire them up to this switch, and then we'll have our lights on the front of the box. And that's about it. 4 USB ports, a voltage meter, and it will have some lights. And charging port there, which bypasses the master switch, so I can have the battery charging even with the master switch off. That's why I've wired it that way. And the wiring doesn't look too bad, to be fair. I'm no professional, but that wiring's pretty tidy. I'm going to tidy it up with some cable ties tomorrow just to make it a little bit more tidy, but I'm going to wait until the lights are wired up first, so I've got all of the wiring in there, and then I can cable tie everything and make it all nice and tidy. And I've got quite a bit of room, to be fair, to put bits and pieces. If I wanted to put my USB cables in there as storage in little pouches, maybe my phone cradle, that sort of thing, I can carry it all around in there like a little vlogging box. So when I go out and do a 4 or 5 hour live stream, this is my power box and a little accessory storage box as well, all in one. If I go carp fishing in France, then a battery like that's going to last a good few days before I've got to charge it. It might be a case of taking another battery and just having one on charge while I'm using one for the first half of the week, and then swapping the batteries over for the second half of the week. I'll just have to see how long this thing lasts during a normal carp fishing trip, charging phones, and not a lot, to be fair. When you're out carp fishing, you might have your tablet and your phone, and if you're filming you might want to charge a few batteries for your GoPro and your cameras and stuff. But yeah, that's about long and short of it for today. We'll be back tomorrow when I will fit the lights. So it's now tomorrow, and as you can see, my lights have arrived, and these are great. I love these ones. These are much better quality than the other ones that I had. So I'm gonna start measuring up, fit these into the box, and then show you what they look like after. And now for the moment of truth. Main power on, lights on. Now they are so much brighter than them other crappy ones that I bought from eBay. And these are amazing. And at night time these are going to be really, really bright. They're going to be brilliant. Chuffed to bits. Right. So all that remains now is for me to tidy up this wiring, get it all closed up. So that's the build, just about finished. I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else I can do. The lights are all wired up and working. The wiring has been tidied up with some cable ties, and it all looks pretty neat. I'm pretty pleased with that. So there is the finished box, ready to go. Voltage meter, 4 USBs, and now some lights, charging ports on the side. Well pleased with that. Thanks for watching.